Okay. All mics on if you're going to speak, please. Okay. I'd like to bring the Upper Moreland Township regular meeting for June 3rd, 2024. First, I'd like a moment of silence, please. You would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, Pat, if you take roll.
Ward 1?
Present.
Ward 2?
Present.
Ward 3?
Here.
Ward 4?
Present.
Ward 5?
Here.
Ward 6?
Present.
Ward 7?
Here.
Mr. President, all the commissioners are present tonight, as is the township solicitor and the interim township manager.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion to approve the separation agreement and acknowledge the resignation of Matthew Canlin from the position of township manager.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
I make a motion to approve Resolution R 2024-10, authorizing the appointment of Pat Stasio to the position of Township Manager and Township Secretary to the Upper Moreland Township Board of Commissioners.
Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion from the board? Any public comment? Okay. All in
Yes.
favor, say, whoop.
Thank you, Pat.
Good.
I'm sure we'll be in great hands.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
I make a motion to approve the employment agreement between the Board of Commissioners of Upper Moreland Township and Patrick T. Stasio.
You have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
We got a second. Discussion from the board? Anybody? General discussion? Public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
I make a motion to approve Resolution R-2024-11, designating Township Manager Pat Stasio as an authorized signatory and depository for township funds.
Motion a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion from the board? From the public? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Approved. Right now, I would like to say for Pat Stasio, I probably dealt with him for 28 years here in the township between different boards that I've been on. I just want to say, I think it's great that we were able to have somebody from in-house that works with all of our directors and especially all of our residents. He has solved a lot of problems through the Parks and Rec Department, where he was director for years, and other various things, and has run events for us. I just want personally, since I've dealt with him for 30 years here, thank you. You've done a great job. You're well deserved. Okay, right now, I would like the parents to come up and get a picture with Pat right in the front while you're doing that. Oh, and your wife, Ellen here. And then the board, if they would walk around for a picture. Stay there. Stay with all family and board. Yep, you stay right there. Nope. We'll take one back. He's up. Did anybody see Mrs. Lavelle?
What's that?
Didn't see Mrs. Lavelle. Is there anyone here from the Lavelle family? We weren't sure. Okay, next. Yeah. Oh, we got one before that. Motion to approve appointment of Lieutenant Kelly Ruddle to Acting Chief of Police of Upper Moreland Township effective June 1st. We had our Chief Andy Block took a job with Lower Merion, and our lieutenant that has been here for quite a few years. It's nice that she can just move right in and be seamless. So Kelly, would you come up, please? We'll take a picture real quick. And then should we just stay down there?
All right.
I'll do it from up here. Yeah, all of us.
Do we want to vote?
Everybody.
Yeah. Second. I second that.
Okay, we got a first, we have a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Opposed? So moved. We'll take a picture of the board. Okay. I'm going to save the time of the movement of the board. Next is the Joseph Laval Scholarship. In honor of the late Commissioner Joseph A. Laval, the Board of Commissioners of Upper Moreland Township created a scholarship in the name of Mr. Laval. Each year, the board will present an Upper Moreland High School graduate that has demonstrated a commitment to community service and the improvement of the Upper Moreland community. The Joseph Laval Community Service Award. The monetary award will go towards expenses at an institution of higher education, which is the recipient and will attend. The award for this year is Mackenzie Leo. If you would come up.
Hi, thank you.
most important thing there is to check.
Thank you so much.
To the podium there. The microphone, you have to speak into that. Just say a few words, what you're doing and where you're going from here. Yes.
Okay.
And just, what's interesting here is this family's been here a while. I coached the father in football in 7th grade. So, then I wasn't arrested, but had to appear in front of the grandfather several times. So, they've been around for a long time. So, yes.
My name is Mackenzie Leo. I'm attending the University of Pittsburgh next year, and I'm going to be studying psychology. Thank you for this award. I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Okay, and I would like to say that award was started with Commissioner Whiting. He is the one that pushed hard for that award several years ago. And thank you, Charles, for doing that. I think it's a great project that you started.
No, it's a joint project, and every year we get astounded by the honoree who receives it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, next, for the public hearing, if anybody wants to leave, the families or whatever, for those awards, if you want to leave, this is a good time. We give you a few minutes. Otherwise, we're going into a public hearing for conditional use that will be here for a little bit. Thank you. Yep. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Congratulations. Do you want me to make a motion to open?
Yes, go ahead and start with
Or
that.
you do it if you would.
No, that's what I was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next on our docket here, public hearing 1969 to receive public comments regarding conditional use applications submitted by the KRE group for the properties located at 2405 and 2425 Maryland Road. This was a hearing we had last month. We had an error in-house about advertising it, so it has been reopened here tonight. And do I have a second to open the hearing?
Second.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Opposed? Okay, approved?
Thank you very much, President McFatridge. Hi, I'm Sean Kilkenny, the Township Solicitor. As President McFatridge said, this application looks very familiar or synonymous with what was heard here on May 6th. Here, it's essentially the same application. What we found out is, when we're going through the record from the court reporter right here, that the property had not been posted, which is a requirement that are under the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. So understanding that in an abundance of caution, what we wanted to do is give anybody the opportunity to come in again, request party status, comment at the end of the hearing if they so choose. Ms. Richmond here, who received party status the previous hearing, will again have party status. And we have the attorney for the applicant here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go through mark some exhibits that we have here. And so T1 will be a copy of the application for conditional use. T2 will be a copy of the publication of the public hearing advertisement occurring May 19th and May 26th. T3 will be a copy of the proof of posting of the subject property. T4 will be the township advisory Planning Agency and Montgomery County Planning Commission review letters dated March 13th, 2024. T5 will be the Gilmore and Associates Engineering review letter dated April 23rd, 2024. T6 will be a copy of the recorded transcript of the public hearing on the application before the Board of Commissioners conducted on May 6th, 2024. There were about 2 hours of testimony presented by the applicant and presented by Mr. Freemuth. He's here. He has those same witnesses available if anybody would like to hear anything new from them again this evening, and he'll come up after I finish doing all of this. Then also, too, we'll have at T7 a copy of email correspondence dated May 22nd, 2024 from the Township Solicitor to Sandra Richmond, providing notice of the June 3rd, 2024 hearing. And I will also add in an email that I sent today, June 3rd, from myself to Ms. Richmond and to Mr. Freemuth, talking about what I had as the intended procedure for this hearing this evening, and that will be marked as an exhibit. The applicant's exhibits, which were synonymous with what was presented on May 6th, will be A1, a deed for 2405 Maryland Road. A2 will be another deed for 2425 Maryland Road. A3 will be an aerial plan for existing conditions. A4 will be an aerial plan initial development layout. A5 will be an aerial plan revised development layout. A6 will be the CV of Brian Conlon. A7 will be the conditional use concept plan. A8 will be the traffic statement memorandum. A9 will be the conceptual sewer and stormwater plan. A10 will be the CV of Jeff D. Romaldo. A11 will be the building 2 phase 1 street view. A12 will be the front and side elevation. A13 will be the rear and side elevation. A14 will be the ground floor plan. A15 will be the second floor plan. A17 will be the typical floor plan. A16 will be the typical floor plan. A17 will be the fifth floor plan. And A18 will be the roof mezzanine plan. So those are the exhibits that we wanted to put on the record at this time. What I wanted to hear is anybody that's here this evening, besides Mr. Freemuth and Ms. Richmond, is anyone here requesting party status? And I'll explain what party status is. In a conditional use hearing, the Board of Commissioners sits akin to what's the zoning hearing board, meaning they are doing fact finding and will issue a decision within 45 days of the close of this hearing. Party status is if you're within a certain radius of the affected property, you have the ability to call witnesses, present your own evidence. That does not mean if you're not granted party status or you don't seek it, doesn't mean you're not able to comment. There'll be an opportunity for comments at the end of this hearing, regardless if you get party status or not. But wanted to see, is anybody new requesting party status this evening? Okay. Seeing that there's no new party status, I wanted to turn it over to Mr. Freemuth first, and then Ms. Richmond to see if they wanted to make any new comments or present any additional information or give an explanation.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. For the record, Andy Freemuth here on behalf of the applicant. Obviously, we have a unique set of circumstances here this evening. We did spend approximately 2 hours last month going through the testimony. We are fully satisfied with this transcript as it appears. It's been admitted into the record along with all our exhibits. I have brought all of our witnesses back this evening to answer any questions that anybody might have. I guess one threshold issue that we're trying to drill down on is whether there's any new people here that would require us to go ahead and rebuild our record, essentially. It sounds like there is not, based on Mr. Kilkenny's question to the audience. So with that, I really don't have any new testimony or evidence at this time. Of course, to the extent that Ms. Richmond does, I'd like the opportunity to respond. And of course, my witnesses are here, again, to answer any questions.
Okay, with that, if there is a question asked, do you only have the same staff that was sworn in at the last hearing?
I have the same witnesses that were sworn in at the last hearing, yes.
So we do not have to swear anybody in.
If they're required to give new testimony, we'll swear them in again.
Okay.
But right now, their transcript of that previous hearing is all on the record So I'll leave that to Ms. Richmond if she wants to hear from any of these witnesses again. Ms. Richmond?
Sandra Richmond, 1505 Sycamore Avenue. I have a point of clarification. We're having a new hearing tonight. Is everything in the previous record still on the record, or do we need to repeat all the facts for tonight?
No, the transcript has been admitted as an exhibit.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have a few questions.
Okay, of which witness would you like to? And we'd like it to be new questions, not ones that were asked at the previous
Right,
hearing.
I have new ones.
Okay, great. Who would you like to hear from?
Who can answer the question about impervious surfaces?
Impervious
Impervious
surface.
surfaces.
That would be our professional engineer.
Okay, so I'd ask the professional engineer to be sworn in. Again.
Sir, you solemnly swear that the testimony you about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and spell it, please, against the board?
Yes, Brian, Brian, Conlon, Conlon.
And just first question, Mr. Conlon, I know we went through your CV and your professional background at the May 6th hearing. I assume you're the same Mr. Conlon that gave sworn testimony on the 6th.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. Ms. Richmond.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Conlon. Can you tell us what the percentage of impervious surface is on the property?
Existing or proposed?
Both.
Both. So the existing impervious coverage, bear with me here while I read my notes, is on the 2405 parcel is 64.5%. On the 2425 parcel, it is 61.9%. And on the combined, it is 63.8%. When the two lots are combined with the subdivision, or the consolidation.
If the two lots are combined.
Yes.
And is that calculation done before the new sidewalks and entrances were developed, or is that after those features were added?
That's based on the current plan, the latest revised plan that we submitted.
Okay, and the maximum impervious surface is
65%, correct.
All right, thank you. Okay, those are my only questions about impervious surfaces. Thank you.
Mr. Freemuth, do you have any follow-up?
No, thank you.
Do you need to hear from any other witnesses?
Yes.
Okay.
Who can answer questions about the amenities?
Yeah, we start with Noah Prismer.
Okay.
From KRE Group.
Okay.
Sir, you solemnly swear that the testimony you about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name and spell it, please, for the board?
Noah Chrismer, Noah, Chrismer, Chrismer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chrismer, just so for clarifications we went through, you are the same Mr. Chrismer that testified on May 6th before this board.
I am.
Thank you.
Mr. Chrismer, in the last hearing, you mentioned that the amenities were built over capacity to accommodate any new buildings that might be built in the future.
I don't think that's what I testified.
I think if you read the record, you will find that's what you testified.
Yeah,
What did you say then?
well, let's go to the record. I mean, I don't think that's what I said. And I just want to be clear. Like, I'm happy to talk about the amenities, but I'd just like to be clear on what was said. I think as we're looking for it, I think what I said was not that they were built over capacity to accommodate new buildings, but rather that we believe that the existing amenities can accommodate this building. Does that sound more like it? Existing amenities can accommodate the new building.
And you
Does
said
that
that
sound
in the
consistent?
planning process, that's a normal action that you take.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. All right. I'd like the record checked on that. But
So what's the question? I'm sorry.
It actually doesn't matter.
Right, what?
Yeah, Ms. Richmond, just to be clear, you were provided the record by my colleague, Mr. Baumler, and you can, if you wanted to, knowing as an attorney you are, use the rules of evidence to impeach the witness. If you wanted to,
Right.
that's up to you.
Right, I'm not an
exactly.
attorney. But the point is that we discussed the fact that in general, you like to you believe that there was additional capacity in the amenities?
Yep, I think that the existing amenities can support the new residents in the new building, yes.
And in the original application in 2017, did you or your representatives mention that the amenities could accommodate more residents than what the units were planned to hold?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and read that application. I think that was 6-7 years ago.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we don't know if that topic was discussed, so we can assume that unless the facts show otherwise.
I object. Just limit it to questions, please, and we can try not to make assumptions on the record in advance of asking a question. I would appreciate that.
Okay, I can.
Noted. If you could just ask the witness some questions, that would be great. Thank you.
I believe it is safe to say that the commissioners, when they approved this in 2017, approved the.
Object again. I think just pure speculation. She has no idea what the commissioners were thinking about in 2017, nor does she offer any opinion on that. And again, we're not getting to a question.
Sustained. Can you just please ask the witness some questions?
Yes, I do have a point with this, and it is relevant.
Okay.
The commissioners based their decision on the amenities that were shown.
Same objection. She's talking about what the commissioners based their decision on in 2017, and it's purely speculative. She has no knowledge of what the commissioners were thinking about in 2017.
I don't even need to know what they were thinking about. What was in the application is what is here, and nobody can confirm that the application said anything about additional capacity. So from that, we have to conclude that the commissioners made the decision about whether the amenities were adequate for 246 units, not for 301.
And just, I'm sorry, Mr. Kilkenny, just really briefly. That's fine. If you want to make that argument to this board when you're done asking questions of my witnesses, that's fine. You asked him about the amenities from 2016, 17, and his answer under oath was, I don't know. So we can now move on to the next question, please.
Objections sustained again. Please ask your next question. Again, that's appropriate for argument.
Okay. All right, who can discuss the setback requirements? Thank you.
Thank you.
That would be Mr. Conlon again.
So just please identify yourself again, just so it's clear.
Brian Conlon from Langen Engineering.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Conlon, can you speak to the setback areas around the property and how they comply?
Do you want me to go through each one? I know the latest plan does comply with all the setbacks as shown on the plan.
Yes, I'm interested to know that.
Certainly. Again, I got to go to my cheat sheet here, but the front yard setback is 50-foot requirement, and we are proposing 50 feet. So we're meeting the requirement. The side yard is 25 feet, and we're proposing 25 feet. And the rear yard is 25 feet, and we're proposing 50 feet in the rear. Mm-hmm. So all of those exceed the ordinance requirements.
Mm-hmm. And this is something that I hope you can help me with. I see that there are roads and parking spaces mm-hmm. within that zone. Is that allowed?
Yes, the setbacks I was referring to as building setbacks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
No further questions.
Okay, nobody else requested party status. That's clear here. Does anybody have any public comment related to this? Okay. Please identify yourself for the record.
Sure, my name is Rosemary Doman, and I live at 2405 Maryland Road. And I'm glad that we got notice of this hearing because we did not know about the other hearing, or I would have been there with some of the other tenants who are also concerned about this building. I am concerned about party status being requested at the beginning of this when we did not have prior knowledge of whether or not we needed party status before we hear the testimony and the evidence about these proceedings. So, you know, that might be something that somebody might.
Are you asking for party status right now?
I would like to know more about what's happening before I need to know if I need party status. So one of the things that I was concerned about is the second witness did not actually answer any of the questions that were directed at him. He said, I don't know, to all of them, and he was supposed to be the expert who had testified. And of the things that he was testifying is one of the greatest concerns that myself and several other tenants that I've spoken to, in fact, all of the other tenants that I've spoken to, have concerns about. We are now saying that we are going to be sharing amenities with 33% approximately more people, when the fact is the amenities that we commonly share right now are already overused. For example, the 4 grills, let's say, that are outside for public use have been broken and in need of repair for 3 years because they're overused and the repairs can't happen fast enough. They have been repaired now after many letters got submitted to management about repairing them, and they were already broken by Memorial Day weekend, the end of it. When you're saying that you're adding approximately 110 more people to use 4 gas grills in our common area, when there's already 230 people using them, you cannot say that that is a reasonable amount of, public, use for those grills. So why aren't new grills being added? The pool, another area that I'm understanding from asking is also going to be something that's going to be shared. The pool is already extremely crowded to the point where we now have to have 2 people at the pool monitoring the number of people in and out, and the residents have to wear armbands and are obviously limited to the number of guests, which is appropriate, to come in. But now we're saying that the new residents, of which, again, 55 average 2 per apartment, would be about 110 more people, are each allowed to have themselves, let's say 2 people, and 2 guests. So now we're talking about 220 people adding to the pool area, which already, again, would no way accommodate even a fraction of that. The clubhouse has 1 pool table, 1 seating area. Are they building into the building a new lounge area like they did in building 300 so that the residents over there can use their own lounge area at least and not come into ours and use the bathrooms that are there that are already difficult to have maintaining? The trash is overflowing, which I have pictures of if anybody would like to see. Every weekend at the pool, the 2 trash cans are left, and one day we'll fill both of them to overflowing. The other areas that we are very concerned about is noise pollution. So when they say that they're coming back 25 feet from the side, but parking is going to be there, that would mean that they're going to take down, most likely, the stand of trees that separate our property from the turnpike. The turnpike noise is extreme without those trees there. Not to mention all the birds and animals that live in there, but for us, sitting out on our balconies, which we, signed leases to have these beautiful balconies, like to sit out there. If you're on the turnpike side of 300, you cannot use your balcony. You cannot have a conversation on that balcony because the noise from the turnpike is so unbelievably loud. If you take down those trees, all of the other balconies in 200 and 100 and 300 will be affected severely by the noise that comes from the turnpike. We have the fire pit that's there that was also broken for about 9 months last year because there's 1 fire pit with 6 seats around it. So tell me how that is ever going to manage to have more people using it. And when you sit there, if the trees are down, the noise is going to be unbelievable. You won't be able to have a conversation there or in any seating in the grilling area. So my concern is that all of those common use areas are going to be severely overwhelmed as they're already at or above maximum capacity. And if you need to know, I could bring 200 witnesses here, if necessary, to testify to that.
So, ma'am, when you asked what party status was, I did explain that in the beginning of the hearing.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not a lawyer. So.
No, I understand, and I want to give you the opportunity to have an opportunity. Would you like, so in party status, right, you would have the ability to call your own witnesses or cross-examine their witnesses, right? You were not here for the first hearing. That transcript has been admitted into the record. We realize you were not here.
Weren't here. I didn't find out about this until recently.
Understood, ma'am. Would you like an opportunity to ask one of Mr. Freemuth's witnesses some questions if you're requesting party status?
Well, I would like to know if they're going to have their evidence of their previous testimony in front of them, because, like I said, the second witness and my count and my friend's count, like, who also lives at 2405, did not answer any of the questions. He said he couldn't remember and didn't know and would need to refer to the status. So perhaps if he could answer those questions, that would be great.
So, Mr. Freemuth, would you object to giving her party status and then recalling her witness to answer some of her questions?
I have no problem putting on, I'm sorry, I have no problem putting on Mr. Krismer and running through the plan material in an effort to
Expedite.
try to
answer the questions.
I know that we have a transcript and you weren't at the first hearing, but perhaps if we show some of the exhibits on the board and we try and address the amenity space and the setbacks, then you can ask any questions you might have of the plan of Mr. Krismer or Mr. Conlon. That'd be helpful. They were testifying that way because we did spend a few hours last month going through the entire hearing and the entire case, and I know it probably sounded very frustrating to you to hear those responses, but they were based on prior testimony.
So I'm going to go ahead and grant you party status.
Thank you.
Okay? And why don't you call your witness? Yeah, we'll just handle it that way. Okay?
I don't know who's coming up, so if you can
Okay.
give me clues to who's answering what questions. Sure.
Excuse me, ma'am. Just for the record, can you, one, spell your name and can we swear you in?
Sure. R-O-S-E-M-A-R-D-O-M-A. And I swear to tell the truth.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes, swear her in.
Yes.
Okay, they needed a minute just to get themselves situated.
It's just the switch channel.
Thank you.
They're just getting themselves together.
Thank you for indulging me there for a moment.
Sure.
Yeah. No, you want to grab that mic?
Hi.
Hello.
So you're the second.
Wait a second. He's gonna.
Okay.
So Noah, just introduce yourself for the record
Sure.
again, please.
Noah Krismer, KRE Group. I'm our head
So
of
he's
planning.
gonna go through some
entitlements.
questions. You can sit down if you want to stand there or whatever, and then you're gonna have
And
the opportunity.
KRE Group,
Sure.
and the two entities that own these parcels, they're affiliates of KRE Group, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And KRE Group developed the current Willow Point Apartments, and now you're seeking this conditional use approval tonight, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What's up on the screen, I believe, is what was marked as Exhibit A5, and that's a aerial image and a color rendering of the proposed new apartment building. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then why don't you just generally take us through and orient us to the site? Just maybe that will help prompt some questions as well.
Sure. And I'll come up and point. But I think I'm going to start at the back with your last question and then work backwards from there. Because I think the last question addressed tree clearing. Yeah, so there's going to be very little, if any, tree clearing resulting from the project here. The trees that you see that are like an aerial photo there,
Yeah.
those are all not on the property. The property, in fact, is cut off. It's not like the 2405 property that goes all the way back to the turnpike. It's actually cut off with that black dashed line that you see right at the, yeah, right there. Thank you for whoever has the pointer. So that's the end of the property. So none of the trees that you see there are being taken down. They're all outside the property.
So all of this, so this is the fire pit,
Yep,
right here.
yep.
So all of this, and I have pictures too on my phone, all of this has trees. So where these parking spaces are, you are going to be taking down trees.
Yeah.
So you just said you weren't, and now you are.
Well, okay. So the trees that are in that you can see on the aerial, those trees are not coming down. There are some trees, but not many, and I was on the property today myself, that will come down to the right of the circle there. And if we had to increase the landscaping to the right of the circle there with some more buffer trees, we'd be happy to do that as well.
The problem with that is that the noise comes up and the trees that are there are old and have grown fully. So you already put in, somebody, K-R-E put in, already put in trees a couple years ago.
Yep.
They've grown about this high. So if you have to put in new trees, unless you're putting in adult trees, which why would you put in new adult trees when you're taking out adult trees? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just leave the trees, especially the trees that are, this is a common area that has the grills, the pool, and the eating area right here. So all of these trees support blocking the noise where people are congregating and talking and socializing, and you know, that's where the wine tasting is, that's where a lot of the stuff is. So why wouldn't you eliminate or move those parking spaces that are there to the other side where there's nothing of ours over there and leave all of the trees that are there?
Okay, so one, the trees that we planted, just for clarity, if you're roughly
I'm 5'4", and they're about
5'4". I think the trees that you see in the picture there lining the drive are significantly higher than that based on what I was out there
You're wrong,
today.
because I have two dogs that I walk there, so I can tell you assuredly they're not.
So secondly, the driveway that comes off of the roundabout there, we thought was a good solution versus the two existing driveways that go out onto Maryland Road that we're going to eliminate, and that's sort of better for pedestrians up front. And three, I think that there's still a significant amount of buffer trees there. So while we might, during the land development process, be happy to work on increasing the buffering, increasing the plantings, or even moving parking spaces around during the land development process, I think that with respect to the plan we have today for the conditional use, this is about where we're at, and we think it does a pretty good job with that.
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay.
And also, so right here, this is going to empty into this circle. This circle looks big, it's actually small, it really only fits one car. There are no arrows on the ground, so people go the wrong way all the time. We just got two tiny speed bumps that are so small that a truck can fit through the middle of them and around the outside of them. My understanding is they are going to replace them, but there's no speed limit signs in there, so people speed. And this is where people walk their dogs. This is a sidewalk, we walk our dogs along here. This is all dog walking. This is a sidewalk here that you're now taking out so that we have to now cross traffic to get in here, and you're putting now 200 or 100 more cars into the circle that is already overwhelmed most of the time by traffic coming through at busy times. So I think it's actually creating a greater danger to pedestrians, children who play in here on scooters and on bikes, and anybody walking dogs or just walking or jogging around have like now 33% more traffic to negotiate around what is already a very narrow circle. So unless you're widening this circle, which I wouldn't love because again, taking down more stuff, why wouldn't you put the entrance out there or just leave the one entrance? We only have one exit right now for 3 buildings. Why does one building, a third, need 2 exits?
Great. So again, things like striping, speed limits, speed bumps, et cetera, we will be happy to and would expect to address those things in the land development process. Remember, the application tonight is just for the use. It's not for the final plan. So we're very happy to work with folks on that.
And I ask, how would you work with us on that? The reason I'm asking
Certainly.
is because in writing, I've already submitted, as have several residents, about the fact that there were no speed bumps. It took 2 years to get them. That there's no speed signs there, that there's no stop sign at the other intersection where people ride over the sidewalk, and there are literally tire tracks over the sidewalk showing it multiple times. So like, my question is, you keep saying that, yes, we're willing to work with you, we can move the parking spaces, we can do that. How, when I leave here, do I know that you're just not saying that right now to satisfy us and are actually going to take action?
Understood. So in the...
That's what I'd like the board to consider too.
For sure.
Well, yes, you can ask the witness questions. You'll have an opportunity to make argument after you ask the witness questions. Does you understand that?
So this board, this plan, when it gets more further refined, will be back in front of this board and the public for approval. At that time, there's tons of public comment. We're happy to take those comments. We change our plans routinely as a result of public comments. The driveways were eliminated as a result of public comments and the county commenting on this. So there's a whole nother, lack of a better term, big bite at the apple as we go to prepare the plans and have to get them approved. And my suspicion would be that anything that the board saw that they wanted, additional speed bumps, better signage, better circulation, proving out all of the turning radius and everything, would be a condition of that approval. And so you'd be bound to do that.
So you'd be bound to do that?
We would be bound to do that.
Okay. Based on what we're saying today. And when will we get a result of when you go back to Terry with the comments that you've heard today and say, hey, we might need to make some adjustments? When will the residents of 2405 be notified that these are the updates we're going to make and these are the ones we're not planning to make?
Well, it's just going to be, there's a whole nother planning and approval process that's going to happen. So like, yeah, there's a whole nother hearing schedule set for the approval of the land development plans, which will contain much more specific information on traffic circulation, parking, pedestrian circulation, tree buffering, et cetera. And I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. I'm just...
The hearing tonight is about the use of the property. There is a whole, it's not a hearing, but there will be a land development plan presented. There'll be an opportunity for more public comment. There'll be review letters from township professionals looking at that, and you'll have an opportunity to comment and offer input related to that.
And will that actually be able to make change? Like
it does.
Like we can
so
do
one
this,
thing,
change is what we're looking for.
One thing I can testify, I'm not an expert, but I work for KRE and I head our planning. I can tell you that I have never ever brought a plan in and gotten it approved the same way that I have submitted it. Every single plan that I've had approved has had changes as a result of public and board comment. No doubt about it.
Okay. One of the comments that you made when one of the other people were questioning you was about the usage of the common amenities. And you said something to the effect of, I don't remember it exactly, that your understanding is that it would accommodate the additional.
Yes.
I would like to know how you came to that conclusion, because if you sat on the property on a Saturday, you would not come to that conclusion.
Yeah, so we believe that the amenities are good enough to handle the extra capacity based on,
what is that?
Yeah, so based on conversations that we've had with our folks at the property, based on me being out at the property a number of times, and there might be times, like you're suggesting, where the amenities get crowded, just like they do at any public pool or private pool during the high times, Saturday, weekends during the summer months.
So you're reasonably saying that 4 grills would accommodate an additional 55 units.
Well, and that's an interesting thing, because I think like the land development process, I think that we mentioned last time at our hearing that we thought that out front of this building, and I think this is in the transcript, that out front of this building, we thought that there was additional space that could be programmed, because we took the parking and put it behind the building. We thought that there was additional space that could be programmed for further amenities out front of the building. I think that's very realistic, including something like a barbecue grill. And we'd certainly be, no, and again, we'd certainly be open to that during the land development process. This is our first take at what we think the use is appropriate, and that we think that we've provided for all the proofs for our conditional use. But again, we have a whole land development process where you're gonna have to really have the amenities planned out, the stormwater planned out in great detail, all of the turning radiuses, the traffic flow, all of that stuff. So I don't mean to like push the question off, but like that's gonna happen.
Okay, tonight, this hearing is for the use. It's industrial use. Okay, that's what's there now. This is allowed if there's no safety or health problem. with using this use. Wait a minute. So everything that you're stating, when they go to land development, the board then we will pick this apart, okay, when it comes to land development. And when we say we'll make, or he said, make them do that, it would be the board at that meeting. When you go to land development, we will make conditions that we want to approve the land development. So they might have to change a lot of things on here once it goes to land development. Even if it's stormwater, we might say, hey, stormwater, we don't like it, you got to change it. You know, that's not developed. We're only here to say, is apartments safe and for a use there? That is the only thing we're here tonight.
Okay, and I'm saying,
Okay.
I don't think it's safe. I don't think that circle is safe. I don't think having that many people in a grill area where people are cooking with fire and there are children there, I don't think that's safe. I don't think 33% more people using a pool with one lifeguard is safe. So none of those things, I think, are safe.
Okay.
I think that every tenant would agree with me.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I just wanted to clarify all those other things that you said. Well, that would be land development.
So I would suggest if you have any further questions of this witness, we can continue that way.
So when you say that you talk to people at the property, you talk to residents at the property?
We have not done a resident survey.
So you talk to the management at the property?
Yeah.
Who I also spoke to, and in fact, walked over to that property when it was when we heard it was purchased like a year ago, when there were still other tenants in there. And, you know, tried to find out, like, you know, oh, when was it going to be built and things like that. So when you say that you spoke to people, the management people that I've spoken to agree with what we've been saying as tenants, that this is going to be an issue. So I'm not really sure when you say that you've gotten testimonial about the safety and the use of these areas, that where's it coming from?
Right. So can't speak to your conversations. We also have not polled the residents here. And again, I think that in the land development process, this is something that we'll have to work out more particularly.
So you don't know who you spoke to at the property?
I don't recall, yeah.
So not the property manager or the real estate salesperson or the manager of maintenance?
Again, I don't recall.
Okay. So the other issue, and I don't know if it goes to safety, but there's a dog run in the back, and people use the dog runs in front, and obviously dogs, cats, whatever, when they defecate on the ground, if it's not picked up and properly disposed of, can breed dog diseases to other dogs, things like that. There are currently 2 postings for where you can dispose of dog stuff. Like, we've asked a million times for them to put up one. I know that they have one in storage. So when you make your plan, do you also make a plan for the safety of the animals that are going to also be living in that property, which will increase the amount of defecation on the ground and stuff like that?
If the suggestion is that we need to put another area or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, then certainly that's something that we could provide in our plans, and that would be something that we'd do. We'd go to whoever would consult us on that. I'm not sure exactly. So but that's not considered in this plan yet. Okay. No, this is, again, this is very conceptual. That type of thing is like a land development consideration for sure.
Okay. So I think from a safety perspective, that's probably all I have to say tonight, but we will definitely be back, and we would really appreciate it if KRE would include residents who live there in your polling, because I think you're going to get a lot more honest and realistic feedback about what we think is safe and what we don't.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, do you want to hear from any other witnesses?
Not at this time.
Okay. Is anybody here, as we clarified it, is anybody else here requesting party status?
I'm sorry. I did miss something.
Okay.
The trash, which is, I think, part of safety. So the trash is overflowing in the dumpsters.
So is this a comment, or did you want to ask a question of the
I would ask a question of how they're planning to manage the additional trash for 55 units. Because I don't see on that picture where they would put additional dumpsters or, and I didn't see it in the ones, I only got a chance.
That is usually a land development issue. But if he knows, I'm sure he could offer that, but that is usually a land development issue, ma'am. And there would usually be more detail on the plan. The next phase, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Does anybody have an answer to that question? Because.
Oh, I think he's checking.
Yeah, I mean, I think the plans show adequate trash, and it's also in the building plans as well. But to the extent that there are issues with current trash disposal or the capacity of those, it's similar to the amenity space, and it's something that can be addressed. It will be addressed as part of the land development process, yes.
As an FYI for you?
Yes.
If history is the greatest predictor of the future, the current trash is not adequate. So you might want to look at that.
Yep.
So that you can indicate what needs to be done for 55 more units, because it is a health hazard right now the way it is.
And I think the township's consultants will certainly make us address that as part of the land development plan process.
Okay, great.
Yep.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Okay, just so is anybody else requesting party status, meaning they want to question witnesses? Okay, does anybody want to comment on this conditional use application? Ma'am? Please identify yourself for the record.
Okay, my name is Ann McCarty, 2105 Carlson Drive. ANNMCCARTY. This is for land usage, and the reason is because that was zoned commercial, and they want to put apartments. My question...
Industrial.
Industrial, okay. So my question is, the next building is industrial. So when that goes up, this company is going to then developer, not company, buy a loan. And it's for safety. I realize that everything has to be done to safety. I know that they're going to try and put traffic lights out there, stuff like that. Now, I don't live in this development, but I live around the corner. And there was a sign at the top of my block, do not block the intersection. It doesn't work. It is so busy over there, and there's so many animals in my yard, stuff like that, that these people are just pushing away. And the safety is the safety of our community. We have 276 units going in across the street. We put another 55 units just in this township. The safety concerns are there. I know it's just your safety for traffic and stuff, and they said they do studies. I don't believe the studies are accurate. 276 units across the street are getting 15 kids to school. Well, I think all 15 of them drive around and are at my corner. Because 15 cars of just smaller kids that don't even go to middle school or high school are sitting on my corner every day. And people are just darting off like that. So I think this is a safety concern for our township and what it's doing and bringing to our township. I realize you think it's bringing money. It is bringing money, and they pay taxes on the ground. Do they pay taxes for every unit there or every child there? Every unit that has a child, do they pay taxes to this township? Because I pay taxes to this township, and I've been here almost 30 years, and it's getting ridiculous. It's like, I just feel as though it's becoming unsafe. I feel unsafe in my own neighborhood just because of traffic. My street goes out to Welsh Road. It goes out to Fitzwatertown. They come around the corner and they're going to just shoot up my block at a 25 miles an hour zone. And they're shooting right up my block just to get out to Fitzwatertown because they don't want to go to the corner. They don't want to go here, or they want to come down around and get to their house the easy way. It is a safety concern. It's a safety concern, and I don't even have little kids anymore. I don't even have small grandchildren anymore, but we have a lot of kids in one. And just what the safety concern is what it is doing to our township. With that, we're going to have to hire more police, it's going to just bring more and more, and that is a safety concern to us. Let's keep us safe, the residents that are already here. Keep us safe and keep us here, because I walk around, I do 7 miles a day. I see these houses going up for sale like this. Nobody wants to be here no more. Keep me safe. I'm asking you, keep me safe in my own home, in my own neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a comment? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Please identify yourself for the record.
Rosa Huber, Home Road.
And where do you, oh, can you spell it for the court reporter, and where do you live?
Home Road, Huber, H-U-B as in boy, E-R. My name is Rosa Huber, a longtime resident of Upper Moreland, and I also am a current school board director for Upper Moreland Township School District. I do wish to start by saying thank you for all the collaboration that has taken place between the township and the school district. We truly appreciate it. Change is inevitable. This is something we should all expect, but change without proper planning can cause undue hardship. With any proposed new construction or expansion, I ask due consideration be taken in during each step that you have spoken of to the impact of additional students on our district. Reflecting on a study presented at our own school board meeting recently, our elementary school is at capacity, with our middle and high schools also inching ever closer in 5 to 10 years. While additional housing is always a good thing, for any and all projects, I can only wish for proper procedures be followed and impact studies as to potential increased enrollments be completed. Change is good, but it has to be done right. Thank you.
Anybody else have comment? Okay. Does the applicant or the parties want to say anything before the board takes action to possibly close? Oh, sorry.
Board might have a couple questions.
Okay, sure.
Go on.
So I have a question about the school board issue. Do you have a study that shows which apartment buildings, how many kids are at the existing apartment buildings?
You got to come up to the mic.
You got to come up to the...
Just so we can't hear.
There was a study done recently, also like a school utilization study that was done, I believe, last month that was presented to the board and can be found via board docs in our board docs publicly, presented. I think it was in April of this year.
So it could show Willow Point has X number of students
yes.
going to elementary school, middle school, high school?
Actually, no, sorry. I stand corrected. A utilization study was done as to the current total enrollment. As for individual enrollment, it was done.
It doesn't point out apartment buildings, which apartment buildings might attribute to
yes.
potentially the overcrowding of schools.
Yes.
Because my point is, we're making an assumption that the apartment buildings are the reason for schools being overcrowded, but we don't have the data to back that up.
We did a study in 2016, I believe, that did show the enrollment in each of the locations, including such apartments as Blair Mill Apartments, et cetera.
Can you present that to the board?
I do not have it with me, but I do believe it can either found via board docs or from the school district itself.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? No? Sure.
Any other comments? No? I believe Ms. Richmond wanted them. Yeah.
I made most of my comments last time, but I want to add to a few points to that. When it comes to some of the elements in the conditional use application, those items do need to be in the application and not developed during land developed, or only developed further in land development. They do need to be part of the application. For example, stormwater management. It says right here in the ordinance, plans depicting compliance with the stormwater management ordinance and features required herein. So it says it right there. In addition, safety is an element that needs to be addressed before it gets to land development. I've heard that many times here, that safety is the primary concern when you are considering these developments. And I think it's important to be sure that whatever plans you're considering do not negatively impact the safety of our community or the residents of that apartment complex. Let me see if I have any other thing. The ordinance also says the proposed use, you need to show that it does not unduly burden sanitary sewer facilities, school, police, fire, park, stormwater management systems, or other public facilities or services, whether or not provided by the township. At this point, I don't see how we can safely say that. Certainly, the traffic study that was done was based on a fully occupied building. The building is not fully occupied, so we really could not get any data out of the impact of traffic based on the study that was done, because the building is currently 70% occupied.
Okay.
Thank you again. Very briefly, I know you have the rest of your agenda to get to this evening. But as you know, apartment complexes are still permitted by conditional use in the industrial district in the township. Conditional use, of course, is a permitted use, provided that we meet the standards and criteria in the ordinance. Your ordinance has very detailed criteria for this use. It's about 5 pages. And we have provided testimony on every single element of the conditional use procedure as part of this, this hearing, and I believe that we satisfied all of those criteria. Specifically with regard to stormwater, we did present a plan that showed that we can comply with stormwater. And as was pointed out, there are a lot of aspects of this development that are going to have to change as part of the land development process. That's just natural. That happens. For example, the buffer areas with landscaping, sure, we show landscaping in those areas, but they'll be further developed because we're going to get comments from your professional consultants. We're going to have to respond to them. We're going to have to show every single tree that the township wants us to plant in that buffer area per the code as part of land development. So while there is a very detailed list of criteria, I think the plans and the testimony that we've presented establish compliance. And as a result, the conditional use should be granted, and the plans will obviously be further developed as part of land development. So thank you for having us here this second time, and that's all that I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So the board has a couple options. They can continue this public hearing to a later date if they're not satisfied with the evidence that's been presented, or they can close the hearing and then the board has 45 days to issue a decision. If that is the case, it would be anticipated the decision would probably be rendered on July 1st, which is the first meeting in July.
Okay. Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second? No, no, first and second. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? So moved. This will be voted on July 1st, Pat? Okay, this will be voted on July 1st then. Okay, thank you. Okay. Next. Next is public comments, not agenda items only. This is, you can make a comment. The board does not entertain or say anything back. There is no discussion on it in these full board meetings. With that being said, I know we have people from the June Fete. I would just like to read this statement that we have on our website. After multiple discussions with the Upper Moreland Police Department and emergency responders and continual meetings with the June Fete Committee, Upper Moreland Township had, out of abundance of caution, decided to deny the permit application for the June Fete Fair and Horse and Pony Show. The collective opinion of the public safety officials is that while additional security measures proposed in the revised permit application were appreciated, the high risk of safety and security issues remain. The decision was not made lightly and was based on the current safety and security issues that arose in numerous other local events. Recent local events include fights, assaults, robberies, gun violence, overload of public safety resources, and led to the cancellations of partial or all of the certain events within the immediate area. The recent safety concerns are dangerous conditions and at other events pose a real and obvious safety issue for the 2024 June Fate Fair and Horse and Pony Show. The 2024 cancellation does not mean that 2025 that we have a reason to cancel it. And that will be a discussion that we will start to have in the ongoing year and years beyond. We have already begun internal discussions for additional safety protocols, enhancement opportunities for the 2025 event in light of all the recent safety issues at other local events. With that being said, I've probably been to 55 June Fates. I have worked at them. This was a decision that was made by our police department, and this board would stand behind the recommendations. We met earlier tonight to be updated by them. So this was not taken lightly. Like I said, myself and I'm sure other people here have been going there for years and years and years, and now I'm taking grandchildren there, even last year. So we've been there and we know an awful lot about the June Fate since some of us had worked there. I just wanted to state that this year, right now, less than 500 yards away. We've had discharge of firearms recently. We have had all kinds of problems in the area at fairs. So that is just one of the probably 10 or 15 deciding factors that went into just the safety protocol. So this board did not want to do it, but it's just in the times of today, this year, and even last year we had stuff. That was the reason the discussion was there. But I am hoping that everything will move on and we will be able to have this event next year. That being said, from the board, non-agenda items, anybody that would like to speak on any issue in the township that would like to give a comment?
Hi, thank you for those comments, and we understand that the decision was difficult, but we still would like to make a statement. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I am Jill Kyle. I'm a Senior Vice President at Jefferson Health, and I have oversight of fundraising activities for 10 hospitals, including the Abington Health Foundation Women's Board. This is the group which plans and is responsible for the June Fate Fair Horse and Pony Show on 42 acres at the June Fate Farm in Huntington Valley. My history with Jefferson Abington Hospital runs deep. I've been employed at the hospital for 25 years, and I'm an honorary member of the Women's Board for 40 years. I was born at Abington Hospital. My children were born there. Abington physicians and staff supported me when I lost my parents who were under their care. Abington is much more than a hospital to many of us. It's part of the fabric of our community. The Women's Board was formed in 1913 with the mission of opening a new hospital in the suburbs, and it's still going strong. The Women's Board made a pledge to raise $500,000 in support of nurse wellness. With nurses caring for more seriously ill patients in a complex healthcare environment and strong competition among hospitals to hire and retain nurses, this is an extremely important initiative. Monies raised from the June Fate would have gone to support the Nurse Wellness Fund. Over many years, the Women's Board has supported our OBGYN clinic, many other services for women and children, and other initiatives too numerous to mention. These funds all came from the June Fate Fair. For anyone who thinks this event is just a carnival, please understand that the June Fate is much more than that. Our event offers live entertainment, plant and craft sales, a variety of dining options, games and rides, and of course, the Horse and Pony Show. Behind the scenes, there's even more. Generations of men and women have learned about volunteerism and philanthropy by planning and working at this event. Volunteers have met future spouses and then later returned with their children and grandchildren. Hospital employees, physicians, and community members work side by side for a united purpose to support our patients at Jefferson Abington Hospital. Women's organizations all over the country are folding because they cannot recruit new volunteers. But the Women's Board enjoys a very different experience with a very engaged community committed to doing good work. In fact, next generation leadership for the June Fete was in place as we were just about to celebrate our 111th year of this historic event. Our chairman and vice chairman are sitting over there, and so are their mothers. So pretty impressive that we have 4 generations of some families working at the June Fete Fair. It takes a full year of planning to create this country fair and horse show for our community. Learning that the township would not grant a permit just 2 weeks in advance of what has helped incur significant cost to us for contracts already signed for fireworks, tents, entertainment, and other goods and services. Last spring, there were security concerns involving problems between high school students locally and in Philadelphia, and we worked very closely with Upper Moreland Township and Jefferson Security to mitigate potential issues. Thanks to these efforts, many local families enjoyed a safe, family-friendly event. In December, we debriefed with the township and began meeting weekly with the township and our security team. Numerous recommendations were made to keep fairgoers safe, and the Women's Board welcomed all recommendations. We agreed to spend more than $47,000 of our profits for security coverage, including police from local townships, security officers from Jefferson and Abington Hospital, outside security firms, as well as metal detection systems at all gates. We worked very closely on the fair layout to have line-of-sight security coverage and fencing. We even offered double fencing if necessary. When concerns came up after the Roslyn Carnival in Crestmont, we immediately agreed to changing our hours to Saturday and Sunday to 10 to 5 p.m., eliminating Friday and Saturday nights. We submitted a new permit for a country fair. We kept in place every security measure agreed to previously and offered to do more if necessary. We were going to require anybody under the age of 18 to be escorted by an adult over 21. We eliminated all thrill-seeking rides so as not to encourage gatherings of teenagers. But despite our best efforts, the township indicated in local media that we didn't do enough to offer to keep the community safe. As we come to terms with this cancellation of our proposed daytime event, we are keenly aware that evening carnivals continue to take place in other townships all around us, such as Horsham, Wissahickon, and Ambler. We are very concerned about the future of the June Fete. We don't want to find ourselves in a similar situation where the Women's Board works for an entire year planning and securing and paying vendors to ensure the successful execution of this event, only to find that our permit will be denied. Is it possible to know in coming weeks or sooner that we are able to obtain a permit for next year before we begin all of this hard work? We have had a long-standing relationship with Upper Moreland Township, and we look forward to working together. I thank you for this opportunity to provide these remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Kyle. Any other public comments? And we're public comments? Okay, then we're moving on with the agenda. Thank you. Treasurer's activity report.
I make a motion to approve the Treasurer's activity report for May 2024.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Approved.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 6, 2024.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Approved. Committee recommendations. Community development, code enforcement, there's nothing on the agenda. Land development, nothing on the agenda. List of zoning board application, there is one for June 13th, and that is, let's see where we are here. I think it's Warminster Road. Oh, here we go. 600 Warminster Road, to put a fence in the floodplain. That will be heard on June 13th in this room. Next, Public Health and Safety Committee.
Yes, thank you. The committee recommends that the Board of Commissioners take action on the following. A motion to approve ordinance 1753. Which is fire company.
Okay, this will be the new Upper Moreland Fire Company. This is to certify them as the new volunteer fire company. This was in discussion.
I second.
Oh, we have a motion and we have a second.
Second.
Anything else from the board? Anything from the public? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Approved.
Okay, next, the Board of Commissioners, Public Health and Safety recommends the Board of Commissioners take action on the following ordinance 2024-12.
And that's
Okay, this is, okay, we have a motion in a second?
second.
Okay. This is to the accepting and ratifying the amendment made to the Upper Moreland Township Civil Service Rules of Upper Moreland Township Police and Fire Service Commission. Are there any comments from the board? Any comments from the public? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Approved.
We also recommend motion on new traffic signals at Byberry Road.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. This was discussed in committee. Somebody came in for Davisville Road in Byberry, the intersection there. Had 50-something accidents there over a certain amount of time. All this is to send it to PennDOT to see if they approve with putting an intersection in. Public comment. Anybody from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And finally, we approve the motion to approve the submission of a state fire grant.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for a State Fire Commission grant application. This is to assist in remodeling the kitchen and the shower facilities in the firehouse. Any comments from the board? Nope. Any comments from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Approved.
This concludes our business for this evening.
Okay, next, Finance and Administrative Committee.
The committee makes the motion to approve the reappointment of Michael Chavot as an at-large member on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Council.
We have a motion, we have a second.
discuss the committee. We appreciate that they want to continue to serve. He wants to.
Okay, any comments from the board? Any comments from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, approved.
Next motion to approve the reappointment of Jillian Lockton as an at-large member on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Council.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from the board?
No, also a reappointment, someone continuing to serve.
Okay, from the public? No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, approved.
Next, the committee
Wait a second.
Sure.
I proposed Barbara Chuck.
Yeah, she'll be on the agenda, I believe, next month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Make sure she's
Yep.
in the kiosk.
Yeah, she didn't make the committee, the Finance and Administration Committee meeting this past month, so she's not on for this regular meeting. Next, the committee recommends the approval of general fund checks, beginning with check number 140981 through 141321, for a total of $912,646.10. Also, escrow fund checks numbers 9785 through 9797, for a total of $9,111.52. And finally, the liquid fuel fund checks, beginning with check number 3120 through 3121, for a total of $10,318.96.
We have a second? Okay. Discussion from the board?
None.
Public? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Approved.
Next, I make a motion to approve Resolution R-2024-13, establishing lack of authority to speak on behalf of the township on social media.
Second, anybody? Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from?
Our solicitor described it in detail at our committee meeting. It's recommended by our solicitor and basically says that comments we make are not government speech unless specifically so approved to be speaking for the government.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Approved.
And finally, I make a motion to approve a tax assessment appeal between the township, the school district of Upper Moreland, and the taxpayer MCAP Willow Grove LP for the property located at 1120 North York Road. Is there a second?
Second? Second. You got a second? Okay.
Okay, so this is the Silver Lake Senior Living property. They appealed the assessment, and the school district negotiated an agreement with them, and they're just asking for our approval.
Any other comments from the board? Public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Against? Abstain? Approved.
That concludes the Financing Committee.
Parks and Recreation Committee.
We have no report tonight. Would want to comment on that the paving is about to go in the parking lot at Farmstead Park. There's still some discussion about the paving maybe going around the barn property. But the parking lot is definitely going in next week.
Is that what it is, next week?
Starting next week, the Public Works Department, next week or the week after, will put down the base coat. They'll let that sit for 30 days, and then they'll come back and put the top coat on. When that's done and Mason's Mill parking lot is done, then we'll come in and line all of our parking lots, Pileggi, Mason's Mill, and Farmstead.
Awesome progress. Okay. With that, any commissioner comments? I have one executive meeting. We met an executive meeting prior to this for personnel and legal matters. Any other commissioner comments?
Just that we do regret the cancellation of the June fete, and I appreciated the detailed comments of what goes into the June fete. Again, as Commissioner McFatridge said, you know, this was a recommendation by our police department, which we completely support, and hope that it goes forward in future years.
Anything else? Okay, we're adjourned.